Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Always Online Multiplayer Gaming Podcast, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things multiplayer related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, aka Magicman, as always, and this is episode 478. We've got some fun multiplayer demos coming out of the Steam Next Fest. We're going to run through a bunch of those and see which ones people are looking forward to. We're going to talk about some industry news, including Activision being, well, Activision. And then I thought, you know what? Let's wrap it all up with some good MMO memories of ours and get yours as the question of the week. Joining me to do all of that today, Ms. Quinlan Bowers. What's up, Q?
I'm having slight problems with my in-house coworker.
Your in-house feline coworker?
Yeah, he's so used to me being in the other room now because it's reached that season where it's too hot to spend the day in this room.
Oh, gotcha.
So, I think he's terribly upset that I'm not where I'm supposed to be.
Oh, all right. Well, if we see some office harassment and violence, we'll at least know why. Can't come flying through the shot at your head or something like that.
Oh no, he's too old for that. The boy's 16. He's not spry enough for that.
Yeah, he is old. He'll just sit there and stare at you disapprovingly.
Yeah, he's wandering back into the other room now. He'll just wander around going,
He's not mad. He's just disappointed.
He's just disappointed.
He's just disappointed. Also on the line, Mr. Troy Blackburn. What's up, New Fridge?
I'm sure my in-house coworkers will make an appearance at some point as well.
Oh, they always do. They always disappear through that doggy door.
Dog butt.
There's one dog that does it though that I'm like, there's no way that dog's getting through that. Okay, I guess he did. I guess he did.
It's because the dog is probably more hair than anything else.
Right. Yeah. That description holds true for Troy too.
That's right.
He's just all hair and some glasses. And some glasses on top. Let's slide over and get started with the hairy news. Q is trying desperately to stay silent on her mic, not knowing how to deal with covering the hairy news. I understand. Hey, so Steam Next Fest was this past week, and obviously there's just a plethora of freaking demos and like early access weekends and closed beta weeks and just like a ton of all of that stuff going on. A lot of it not multiplayer, so we're not going to cover like everything here. There are some bigger single player games offering demos. Obviously, if you check out our piece from Q, there's a link right to the full list, not just the multiplayer stuff. But I did want to bring some of the multiplayer things here. We put together a piece just giving you like 5 new multiplayer games you can try right now that kind of looked interesting. There are a couple other things that were not, maybe some of them were at Steam Next Fest, but some of them were just like announced coinciding with Steam Next Fest. 1 or 2 of which we've gotten our hands on too. So we'll talk about some of those as well. Kicking it off, though, we've got one that, Troy, you've expressed being very, very interested in, and that's Warhaven, a free-to-play medieval fantasy PvP game. 2 teams up to 16 players coming from Nexon. You're a little soldier, lead your squad into combat, melee combat, and you're going to have to coordinate with other players if you want to be successful. You and Jason Winter have always been fans of more melee stuff. Like, I know Jason Winter always wants a true melee battle royale. And we've seen some games dabble in kind of being melee-ish, and then maybe some ranged magic. And he's like, no, just give me a sword and a board. And I know you're a big hammer guy. So watching some of the footage here, what are you looking and liking out of Warhaven? And then, do you have concerns? Obviously, right? It is Nexon. So what do you think?
Yeah, that's my big hang up at the moment is that it's Nexon. So I'm worried about monetization. I'm worried about long-term support for the game. But it is the game from Next Fest that I'm most interested in. I haven't had a chance to check out the demo yet.
You only got a few days left on that one.
Yeah, I've been spending my time on another game we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. But, you know, Warhaven looks really cool. It looks like For Honor, but with more interesting combat. and I get the real tactical back and forth, quote unquote, real time, real combat of For Honor. But this looks way more exciting to me and way more interesting. And I love the fact that I've seen sword and board guys running around. I've seen them just bursting through enemies. It looks super cool, and it looks like something that I would definitely play.
There was one recently. I can't remember the name for the life of me, so hopefully you can help me out here. There was one recently that you did a first look on that was also very melee kind of ish, and you were like running up a hill. What was it?
Oh, what was the name of that game?
You know what I'm talking about? Like you did one that I honestly, just at a cursory glance, because they do look very different if you take a few minutes.
Yeah.
I just at a cursory glance, I was like, oh wait, Warhaven, we've played this one already. Warlander. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, Warlander. That was the one that was like you liked, but if I remember right, there was like this fog on the screen aesthetically the entire time.
Yeah, like the aesthetics of it weren't exactly what I was looking for.
What do you think, Q? Looking at Warhaven, I wouldn't think off the bat this is your type of game, but I've been surprised before.
Not a single game in this list that I put together is a game that I am interested in. The only reason they're in this list is they're the ones out of everything that fit the criteria to be on the site.
Well, I hate all of you, but you're multiplayer, so let me copy paste the links.
Hey, I actually took the time to write stuff. I didn't just copy paste links. Thank you.
Hey, do you do like? I know you're a big fan of high res, but are you like a MOBA player in any regards? Has there been like because we're going to talk about what seems to be all of a sudden 100 MOBAs being back on the table all of a sudden. We went through that era of everybody making a MOBA, and then they stopped, and now it seems like we're doing it again.
Well, MOBA / Battle Royale / whatever, right? It's not just MOBAs, right? It's some sort of weird hybrid. So I don't play MOBA. Like I'm not quick enough and shit to do that anymore anyway. I do enjoy watching them, but one of the reasons I always liked high res is because of the way they design their games, and it made shit easy to watch, as opposed to say watching like Brown the game or something like that. like everything is very you can see what the hell is going on is basically it. So there are MOBAs that I like for that reason. But
chat making me sad. Rip Dawngate, the only MOBA I've ever touched.
Speaking of Dawngate, I may be making words about Dawngate today if my list gets approved. That I was thinking about today. I was going to make words about Dawngate.
So I'm assuming your list is game MMOs that no longer exist.
Sadness, just sadness.
I don't know how valid.
Dawngate was amazing, though.
Yeah, Dawngate was good. There was a project to revive that a while ago. Remember? I think it was like 2020-ish.
I think I remember that.
The revival.
How'd that go?
The licensing thing didn't work out.
Yeah, I know that that was one of their big challenges. Was like who was it? EA, I think. They were willing to talk, but there was no guarantee that was going to work out.
Yeah, and that's what the Kickstarter was. It was like $20 towards them trying to, acquire like lawyers and stuff so they could talk licensing.
And yeah, you can totally do a nostalgia list. That's no problem. 7 copies. No, at one point I had 11 copies of WildStar, chat.
You did pare them down, right?
I did. I threw them away except for one.
We're down to
they were like $5 a piece. Remember, it had gone free to play, and then they had run some promotion where if you redeemed the codes, the serial codes, you could get a random mount out of these like 5 mounts. And I was like, I went to like GameStop at one point, and I saw a bunch there, and they were all discounted to $5, and I was like, yeah, sure, $5 loot box, why not?
I did the same thing with Age of Conan when it went free to play. It was like a thing. You could still get some extra stuff if you had like the box version.
Yeah.
I went to Walmart and did a bunch of giveaways on my YouTube channel of them because they cost me like $4 or $5 a piece.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Next up is a kind of an open world survival game from Blank Han's Coreborn, Nations of the Ultra Core. Here, you're going to have different races. Obviously, there's lots of tension between the races. Imagine that. Stop me if you've heard this one before. And then Sargoth the Devourer invaded. Stop me if you heard this one before. Only 6 kingdoms remained in the world. Stop me if you've heard this one before. And they work together for new technology to create new technology known as the Ultra Core. This is the world that you kind of born into. And no, not all of the problems have been solved. I'm not really all that interested in this one personally. I think the aesthetic can be cute. It's got a very how do I describe this? Like World of Warcraft-y art style that's not as cartoony. It's kind of like a little more realistic than that. But again, it's a survival game, and I'm just not into those. Oh, what are you going to do? Like V Rising was the most survival-ish game I got into for the longest period of time, and that was like a month. Yeah, that was like a month. I know these aren't for me. That doesn't mean Coreborn's bad or going to be bad. I just flat out know these aren't going to be things for me. What about you, Mr. Noob Fridge?
I've got other survival games that I'm interested in waiting on. So this one's probably going to take a back seat, unfortunately. Just kind of looking at some of the animations and stuff, it doesn't look as smooth as some of the other games that I'm waiting on. So,
but he didn't say no.
He did not say no. You are right, Q.
Sometimes I do sit around one night and I'm like, you know what? It's time to check out Coreborn.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything. Let's check out Coreborn. Q, not a survival lady either. So, kind of. You know, I just feel like, man, it
just goes against my whole antisocial thing.
Like, I have to work for a living. I don't want to work in a video game. Well, time to build a roof. You know, just no, thank you. It's just not for me.
Oh no, I'll build stuff in a game.
Yeah, but I don't mind building. It's the farming up 700 wood planks. To go ahead and
I'll
build.
do that too. It's just putting all that work in for somebody else to come along and try to tear it down.
It would be Troy. Troy would tear your house down. Q, next up is Big Fat Battle. What the hell is this?
It's a third-person PvP shooter, which almost puts it on something that I would play because it is third person.
Yeah.
And it looks, it looks kind of cheeky.
I mean, I'm seeing. I don't have the
ridiculous.
B-roll up for this one because I didn't want to front load B-roll for every single thing today. But I'm seeing you can play as a hot dog. A
lawn gnome.
A nun.
A nun, yes, a nun.
There's a monkey, an old lady, a knight. Looks like one of the
baby.
Like stereotypical big lady opera singers. What the hell?
Of all the B-roll you should have loaded, this should have been one of them.
When he says the big lady opera singers, it's with the Viking helmet.
Yeah. Yeah, the very, very typical one. All right, fine. I'll get you B-roll. What the hell's the point?
The brass brazier.
Is this just like a capture the point type thing? What do we got going on here?
I don't even remember. I don't remember.
It's
I wrote
so
about
ridiculous,
it, and then I forgot about it. The only things I noticed was like it has this weird ass cast of characters for you to play. That was what I paid attention to.
It is wild looking. Troy, what do you think of this guy?
I think it looks super cool, super fun. It's just silly goodness, and it's something that me and my friends would have a good time in.
All right, I got B-roll for you. I'm gonna have to resize it when I go to this camera shot, but that's fine.
Some of these games, they actually didn't really have good descriptions of them on Steam yet.
All right, let me.
Yeah, this one the description just leans into the ridiculousness of everything.
What is this? Look at this mess. Look at this mess.
Oh, sumo wrestler.
There's a baby.
Yeah, there's a baby.
Takal says, so we got games where you can be nuns, opera singers, and dancing pigeons. Is the world ending soon? This is some end times shit. Maybe. So Troy's all in on this one.
Yeah, this looks like a good time.
E-Honda moonlighting. Ninja Pandas, WTF is this? It's Big Fat Battle. And there's a demo on Steam now. Look, there's a T-Rex. I don't know what to say, friends.
There's a lot going on here.
That
It's
does
just a
look like
lot.
E-Honda. Yeah, you're right. You are
Oh, and
absolutely
it looked like the sumo wrestler was armed with a proton pack.
Yep. Baron Vagabond wants to be the chef. I'll play the monkey. I'll play the monkey. What's this, like a luchador? Look in there too. There's just like every time it's one of those trailers. Every time you watch it, you see something different. You notice something different.
Play a host of ever-growing game modes across a visual buffet of maps.
Okay, that's the reason why I just
buffet.
ignored it, because it was just like
Because it
very
was
vague.
yeah,
It doesn't
generic
tell you what the
buzzword.
modes. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. That's why I didn't remember.
How many modes? What modes are you gonna have? All of them.
It's
all of them.
this thing.
We're gonna have all of them. Next up, a MOBA. Well, kind of a MOBA and RPG elements pushed together. This one coming from Breach.gg Project Apidom. Post-apocalyptic game. You're not just fighting in the arenas like MOBA style, though. You're also going to build characters over time, determining your own character's role. Teams of 3 going on here. As soon as I saw this, I was like, oh, this is all Troy. Like, this is all Troy. It's like, hey, wait, I can play Smite and have character progression and customization? Yeah, sign me up. What do you think?
It just depends on the characters they have available, kind of what the gameplay is going to look like. Because this trailer, in and of itself, didn't do a lot for me. The gameplay description does a lot more for me than the trailer does here. The trailer, is
I mean, it's not a
cinematic
gameplay
nonsense.
trailer. It's it's their cinematic trailer.
Yeah,
I thought it was neat.
it sounds like it could be very interesting.
It is by somebody though, like Breach.gg. Like, can you name something Breach.gg did? It obviously except Breach.gg. Can you name another product? They have their like social media platform thing, but can you name another Breach game? Yeah, I can't either. So I don't know. It looks cool, but it's a cinematic trailer, so we'll have to see. You never even heard of the it's like a gaming social media platform thing. And yet another MOBA queue. What's up with Sparkball? Well, it's kind of MOBA-ish, right? It's like one of those cross games.
It's MOBA tower defense
/ Rocket League.
Yes, I don't know. There's a point when you're writing about these games that you just kind of have to stop listing game types as part of their description and just pick some and run with it.
Look, you have to score a goal. So football / soccer, Rocket League. There we go. It's a Rocket League clone, Troy. This one, actually, the demo doesn't pop up until I think next week. It's like an early access thing.
Oh no! That's Sparkball that you're playing with in the trailer. This is Spark Defense.
Oh, there are two different things. Okay,
Yeah,
well,
Spark
okay.
Defense,
Then what the hell is
Sparkball,
Spark
yeah.
Defense? We'll come back to Sparkball. I mean, come on. We just talked about Warhaven and couldn't remember that the game it looked like was Warlander.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we just talked Warhaven and Warlander. Now it's Sparkball and Spark
Okay,
Defense.
so what is Spark Defense?
I was thinking about this the other day, and I've become increasingly convinced that all game naming now is just companies with the same dartboards
Oh, yeah.
lined up, and they just throw the dart, and it's like World of.
All right, so what is Spark Defense? It's just another MOBA.
It's a MOBA tower defense game.
Oh, okay. That's two genres I just don't like. Put together into one.
As they put it, MOBA meets tower defense with, quote, hero-driven gameplay.
Well, Q, any interest? Because I don't have any.
Really?
Like, I
You
feel
didn't ask me that.
like I feel bad, but it's just like literally 3 MOBAs right there, and we're not done with the MOBAs today.
No, we're not.
She sounds so like Troy. You're in your damn glory today. You're just like, yeah, buddy.
It's because Mike always picks the episodes that he knows that the content I'm not interested in is what we're going to talk about. I'm beginning to think it's a conspiracy.
All right, so then let me look at one that I do have some mild interest in, and that's Sparkball. Sparkball. League of Legends meets Rocket League kind of thing.
Not to be confused with Spark Defense.
Not to be confused with Spark Defense, the MOBA / tower defense, two genres I'm just not generally a fan of, smashed together in one package. I cannot wait to ignore. Now we get Sparkball, which even though I'm not a MOBA person, see, you can sway me in certain ways. I actually kind of liked watching this and kind of seeing this goofy take on a MOBA and a sports game. And yeah, obviously I love Rocket League.
With a toilet in the middle?
With and a big giant 8-ball and everything. Like, you got me on this one. I do want to check this out. Troy, we liked
Omega Strikers.
Yeah, Omega Strikers. Kind of very similar MOBA-ish control scheme and abilities with your champion and kind of pushed into a sports game. I'm kind of interested in this one, too. Early access weekend is actually next weekend for this. This was not like a Steam Next demo. But this one gets a thumbs up. I will absolutely check this one out.
Yeah, I'll be checking this one out as well. I think there's only going to be room in my life between this and Omega Strikers. So
I would agree.
It'll be a hard comparison between the two for me. Omega Strikers is a little simpler. A little less of the large battleground playfield area.
A rampaging food truck.
Rampaging food trucks.
Yeah, sign me up. Sign me up. Absolutely. Q, you going to play with us? Come on. Can we convince you? Giant toilets?
Yes, because that's a selling point on any game is the giant toilets.
Can we kind of get a gauge here of how many people are on each team? Looks like 4, maybe. Like if you look across the top of the B-roll when they're playing the matches, it looks like there's 4 player icons under each team side. Ninja Panda says probably 5, but I think that the UI is showing 4, right?
It's somewhere between 3 and 5.
Somewhere between 3 and 5. All right, we got a team. It's us. It's Q, Troy, and myself. We'll be on a team. And we'll take on some people in stream when it comes out. Not on early access weekend, because I have a feeling that's going to be a little rocky and touch and go. It usually is, but when it actually makes it out, we'll challenge some viewers. That'll be a blast. I just signed you up for a competitive event, Q. How do you like that? We can.
We can do PvP and XIV is to get the mounts.
We can rope in Jason too if we need a 4th. Absolutely. Another one we've actually gotten some chance to have some hands-on time already is Evercore Heroes. This is kind of a slightly different take on MOBAs by former League of Legends and Fortnite developers. The CEO of Vela Games absolutely wants us to let you know it's not a MOBA. It's not a MOBA.
And then I'm going to proceed to call it a MOBA for the rest of existence.
Is this one of those sure jam things?
Yeah,
it's totally the easiest way to describe what it is. It's a MOBA. It's a PvE MOBA.
Yeah, it's a PvE multiplayer, and we've seen MOBAs do this thing before too, where you're trying to like race to complete objectives with another team. It's very Gambit from Destiny, right? I think that's an apt comparison where you're trying to accomplish PvE objectives, but you can kind of screw with the other team sometimes.
And it's pretty tough. I'll tell you what, getting out there in the world, especially when you're first getting started, dying is going to happen. Resing your allies is going to happen. It's a pretty rough go of it when you're first leveling up because they start you at a level 1. You get to choose just one ability. And if you run into the wrong pack out in the world, you're going to get your butt handed to you.
It looks cool. I like the art style, and this is something I would play. Like I said, I play Gambit in Destiny 2. There was another game, Ninja Pandas. You actually jumped on a stream and played it with Jason and I. What the hell was that? We were zipping around on like futuristic motorcycles, trying to get to our team. Getting to the final boss and beating it first before the other team, and you could see like shadows of the other team and. Yeah, I can't remember what the name of it was, but it was very similar, except it wasn't a MOBA control scheme. It wasn't like that asymmetric rotate to aim type thing. It was a third-person shooter instead. I can't remember what it was though. But yeah, I like this gameplay formula. Q, can we get you into Evercore Heroes?
Why do you keep trying to make me play games that are
You write for a
genres that I
gaming
hate?
site. Tori the Chicken saying, wait, people still make MOBAs? Apparently, they're
Lots
back.
of them
They're
now.
the new hotness again.
Yeah, I do remember years ago, we were like, could people please stop making MOBAs? We're so sick of MOBAs. And then they did. And now all of a sudden, this
But
past
they're
weekend.
making variations on MOBAs. It's not just MOBAs. It's something different.
Oh, is that what it is? Is that what
Yeah,
it is?
not League of Legends clones.
Oh, like you'd complain. You still play Smite on almost a daily basis. If somebody gave you a newer, sexier Smite, you'd be all over it. You'd
I
be
would be all over it.
See? Last up, as far as like new things coming out, Scars of Honor is going to be holding its biggest test ever in July. It's also going to be the longest running test. It'll go from July 3rd through July 14th. This is Beast Burst Entertainment's free-to-play MMO. We've honestly, I didn't know how long New Boss, same as the old boss. Is that what it was called? Oh no, that's to count. I was like, I feel like we've been covering this for a while when I proofread this piece, and I went back and looked, and we have. We've been covering this for like 2 years. It was like getting funding in 2020 and stuff like that. I mean,
when you say we've been covering it for 2 years, we did 2 articles in 2 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I looked and I was like, wait, have we done this before?
Yeah, in the test, you'll be able to do combat systems, classes, arenas, loot, leaderboards, all that stuff. You'll have access to male, female character models, all the races, and you'll be able to get to level 10. So this is kind of like their big moment as far as testing goes. This is going to be the biggest thing that they've done so far and the longest. And I don't know, like, I'm going to check it out, but I don't know if I didn't work at MMOBomb, if I would be interested in this, even though I try basically every MMORPG that comes out, Q. Not to say that, like, looking at it's bad. It just doesn't. I mean, honestly, it looks like a slightly cheaper World of Warcraft.
I think that's a lot of the thing with a lot of games now, just because there's so many of them, and I realize people are trying to do, something new-ish or whatever, but it's something newish built on the same stuff.
I mean, look at the UI for the vendor right there in the bag. I mean, that is like exactly World of Warcraft default UI circa 2014, like, or 2010.
And it may be absolutely the ideal game for some people. Like, this, they want that World of Warcraft circa 2014 or whatever.
Agents Biohunters. Thank you, Ninja. That is right. That is right. I don't even think that's open anymore, is it?
I think it's shut down.
Oh, it's still on Steam. Well, hold on. This is the Steam community, not the Steam store page. Two totally different things. Store page. Here we go. Not letting me at the store page. Visit the store page. No, my pin is not wrong. Come on.
No, you want to know what I downloaded from the Steam demos?
Oh,
Little
you did.
Kitty Big City.
You did download something?
Little Kitty Big City.
Oh, jeez.
That's what I downloaded.
Agent Biohunters is no longer available on the Steam store. You can get to the early access store page, but it is no longer available on there, at least in my region in the United States.
Little Kitty Big City.
Oh, no. Now you're looking it up?
You're a curious little kitty with a big personality on an adventure to find your way back home.
Capitalizing on Stray, I guess, maybe?
Oh, more like the Goose Game.
Oh, got you.
Like the first things I ended up doing is running around on somebody's, like, the wall of somebody's patio, just knocking their potted plants off.
We still have a few days left of Steam Next Fest. Was there anything that interested you that you've seen so far, Troy, whether it was multiplayer or not?
Warhaven mostly is what I want to try to get some time into. I still got a few days left to do that, so I'll try to hit that up a little bit this weekend.
Yeah, the fest itself still goes for like 3 days or something like that. So you got a little bit of time. We obviously know Q likes the little kitties. I'm still Lies of P. Like that is one that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I think that's going to end up being a pretty big game.
Justin
so.
downloaded that, I believe, but now he's in 16, so.
Yeah, 16 coming out yesterday. That'll do it for some people. I played a few hours last night. I'll be playing tonight. All right, let's slide over and talk a little bit of industry news. Activision totally being Activision in a number of different ways. But there's also some interesting stuff here. So remember a while ago when Activision and Sony were starting their fight in all these different jurisdictions. Well, at that time, if you remember, there was a group of gamers that kind of banded together, about 10 of them, that filed their own lawsuit against Microsoft trying to stop this purchase as well. And initial rulings kind of threw out a lot of it, but they were given the chance on a few topics to make their argument in a better way and provide more substance to that argument. The judge didn't totally just throw everything away. And so they recently did that. And one of the pieces that they're admitting into evidence, or trying to admit into evidence, I'm not sure if it's gone through or not by now, is a email from 2019 that specifically they say alleges that Microsoft and their bid for Activision Blizzard is a play to eliminate Sony from the gaming market. Xbox, of course, Microsoft says, Troy on the other side, that email's from 2019. We hadn't even made an offer yet.
Yeah.
But the email itself does kind of talk about, trying strategies to get PlayStation out of the market, which to me kind of just seems like normal business, right?
Business as usual. Like Sony isn't trying to do the same thing. Please, they would love for Xbox to disappear from the marketplace.
Yeah, I mean they would absolutely love that. But yeah, they're like, hey, that email's from 2019.
The best competition is no competition.
Right? I mean, I think that just makes sense though, Q, right? You like you might even sit in a board meeting and be like, hey, it is 100% totally unrealistic to get our primary competition out of the market entirely. But what are some strategies we could do to try to make that happen? Because the strategies that we use to try and boot them from the market would stand to reason to help us. So even if we never get them out entirely, let's strategize with the idea of trying to get them out. Like, that just kind of makes business sense to me, right?
I mean, when you're a large, greedy corporation, yes. Like, you want the customers, because that's the thing, right? Like, especially now, you do have people that, like, they buy every console, right? Every new console. But most people, they don't have the money to drop $600 each on 2 different consoles every time they come out. So
and this apparently is still being argued, at least as of 2 days ago, was still being argued, trying to put Exhibit K into the discovery on this suit. It's an interesting one.
I think a judge is probably going to look at that and laugh.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same thing, right? Like, it's from 2019, and
it's how companies operate.
Yeah. On the other side, in the Activision world, Activision prepping for its shareholders meetings where they're going to vote on a bunch of stuff. And remember, in a last couple of years, there was a group of shareholders that were trying to, 1, get Bobby Kotick out, 2, get Bobby Kotick's pay reorganized. And, well, the AFL-CIO is trying to propose to Activision's board committing a commitment to non-interference when employees attempt to unionize. Pretty big topic on the Activision slate, if you've been watching for the last 2 years or so. And you will be very happy to know, Troy, you will be very happy to know that Blizzard agrees with you. That Blizzard agrees with you. That's good. They said, the proposal states that collective bargaining is a human right, and we agree with that statement. We are deeply committed to a fair and good faith approach to labor relations and respect the rights of all employees to decide for themselves whether union representation is right for them, and the freedom to make that decision in private and confidentially.
That is the biggest load of PR bullshit. They say that, and then they've spent all of their time hiring lawyers and stuff to bust up unions and make sure the unions don't get brought into their company. Come on.
I mean, that's it. Oh, I stopped a little early. There's another word, and I'm sure you can guess what the next word in this quote is. But Activision thinks that the proposal introduces unnecessary risk to shareholders because it would mean anybody could file a complaint with the National Labor Relations Board, regardless of whether or not the company had a policy on unionization, and they could file allegations of violating the policy, even if there was no allegation of unfair labor practices to begin with. And they even went on to say that the proposal would have no benefit to employees because it strongly supports employee freedom of association and has demonstrated a history of good faith collective bargaining. Q. she needs a moment.
Other shoe dropped.
It's the good faith. The good faith, while they're trying to actually bust the unions and kind of, convince people they'll lose their jobs if they unionize and all of that jazz.
Yeah, it's just weird hearing it. Now, to be fair, I guess, right, there were different accusations brought against Activision Blizzard on this exact front. Some of those complaints were later withdrawn. That doesn't mean that they didn't happen. It just meant that there was an agreement reached to resolve them before they, had to go to court or anything. And the National Labor Relations Board and Activision have settled other claims too. So you can't look at those as Activision and say, see, there was nothing, Troy. No. Some of these claims were dismissed. Some of them were settled. There was merit there to at least some of them, or you aren't going to the settling table, right?
Right. Like somebody had a legitimate argument against you, and you decided to settle instead of being found guilty of something.
Yeah, okay, so Takaus is not always. And if you are a normal person, you're right. Sometimes you go to the settling table because you don't have the financial means to defend yourself in a meaningful way, or other reasons. When you look at a big company, you don't settle to avoid a hassle. You settle to save money. Period.
Because if you can stump them in court, you'd rather stump them in court.
As a big company, settling to avoid the hassle just kind of makes it look like there probably was something there that you just didn't want people to see.
It's straight cost versus ROI analysis. Can we win in court? And if so, how much is it going to cost us to get there? What are the chances we'll lose in court? And if that happens, how much does a settlement cost instead? That's all it is. When you have billions of dollars, there is no hassle in this for them. It's just which is going to be cheaper. And what are our odds of winning? If we're going to win at a 90% rate and I got to spend $1 million to fight it versus we're going to win maybe a coin toss, and I could settle it for $400,000 right now, and we're all done. We're settling. That's see Activision Blizzard's multi-million-dollar, although not nearly enough, settlements with various governmental agencies in the United States here over the last 2 years. And that's literally all it comes down to. Money. Imagine that. Imagine that.
Money's the bottom line. They don't want most of your money. They want all of it.
All of it. Hey, before we go and do the bombs, I wanted to do something a little different. This one isn't related to news at all. So, Troy, we're going to start with you. I personally have been eagerly anticipating Final Fantasy 16 now, and I've made my qualms about it maybe not feeling like a mainline franchise on a different show. You can go watch that. We're not going to relitigate that here. But it honestly felt good being happy and looking forward to a game rather than looking forward to a game and going, it's probably going to break on day one. Like, I honestly didn't feel that was going to be the case with 16. I thought it was going to be good quality. You know, whether I like the game or not, we'll determine that later after I play it. I think I'm going to like it. I can't wait till it comes out. I can't wait till it comes out. And I kind of forgot lately, over the last couple of years in this gaming world, what that felt like. And I liked that. And so I wanted to kind of narrow that in on the MMORPG / multiplayer front. And just, what was the last time, Troy, that you were just straight pumped for like an MMO that was coming out or an expansion for an MMO that you played that was coming out? That you didn't sit here and go, oh my God, is it Bethesda? Is it not going to work on day one? Oh my God, are they going to screw up the monetization? Like, you just looked, you had a ton of information about it, you were fully ready, and you knew, I'm going to enjoy this, and I can't wait to enjoy this. When was the last time? How did you get ready? Were you, like, doing something at midnight? Like, what was it?
It was Rift. Definitely Rift.
Like the OG?
Yeah, the original launch of Rift.
So
my body
circa
was
2011-ish?
something like that. I'd have to look it up to be sure. But Cataclysm, you know, I had been excited for Cataclysm in World of Warcraft, and it just disappointed me whenever it launched. So whenever, you know, Rift had already been kind of making the rounds, and it was sort of everything that I wanted in an MMO at that point. It was kind of grounded in a little more realism, but still had that fantasy element, had all that magitech and stuff. The skill trees, the world, the dynamic events, and the rifts themselves. Everything about that game really spoke to me and said, "This is the MMO for you," and it absolutely was. The original.
So how'd you
Rift
get ready
was.
for launch day? Like, did you have something special? Did you take vacation time? Like what?
Yeah, I took days off work. I took 2 days off.
You were
work
one of those guys.
Yeah,
you would have been
launch
pissed if
day.
it was
And the
delayed.
next day, just in case launch day didn't go as expected. Because, you know, back then, it was the same as it is now. You never know what you're going to get when it comes to launch day. But luckily, I remember playing on launch day and everything being great.
Did you, like, send the wife away? Like, you got to take the dogs. You don't live here for 3 days.
No, it wasn't that bad. But I did take time off work for sure.
And it all worked out for you. Now, remember
Yep.
what that felt like? Look at you smiling like you're 8, man. I can see you like, man, I remember that. That was sweet.
Dude, it was fun. And also the first major patch where they introduced like the first raid or something. I was there because it was the middle of the day. I remember that even more vividly for some reason. I had taken off work for that as well. And it was kind of the middle of the day. And they had this special event, kind of like World of Warcraft, what was the raid where they did the one-time event thing you could take part in, and if you missed it, you missed it. They had one of those.
AQ.
They had one of those in Rift. Yeah, AQ, and they had one of those in Rift for that, and I got to be a part of that, and that was like super cool too.
Yeah, that was the whole like gotta unlock the raid server event stuff on World of Warcraft. What about you, Q?
So before I say mine on the Rift thing, it's funny because I actually had a beta key for it like 6 months before they opened up beta registration. A buddy of mine worked for GameStop, and they went to a thing in Vegas where they showed it off to the industry people or whatever, and he came back with a key for it. And what the hell was the other game that they were publishing it? They weren't. It was like that war game or whatever.
Oh, the Try-On Worlds, you mean? Yeah.
But I ended up with his keys to both of them because he's like, I'm not interested in these. Do you want them? And I was like, sure, I'll take keys to anything.
End of Nations.
End of Nations. Oh
Yes,
my God.
that's
Yeah.
it. I keys to both
End
of
of
those
Nations. Took me a minute.
before they launched, before they were like, hey, we're gonna have a beta for this game.
End of Nations was always one of those ones that was like, this looks really interesting, and it's out. Well, wait, no, it's not really out. No, now it's out. No, well, wait,
Yeah.
no, it's not. It's not really out.
It was
I remember
continuously back
Total
and forth.
Biscuit liked End of Nations a lot.
Yeah, TB loved End of Nations. So what do you got, Q? What's your personal answer?
So like whole MMO would of course be Secret World, the original Secret World.
Oh, yes.
Like I just waited and waited and waited for that to hit. And Rhoda, I don't know if you knew.
No, you were a game breaker at the time when that dropped.
I was a game breaker at
so
the time. Yeah.
I don't remember you taking off for it because you and I were both playing it, but I don't remember you disappearing for a while.
I've never taken off for any of these because I've been doing this for well over a decade now. Yeah. So no, I don't take days off. I just kind of like turn in work late. But I guess more recently, the most recent one probably would have been in Walker.
Yeah. How to go? What was your initial reaction to Secret World? Like, did it on launch day? Did it disappoint? Like, was the hype worth it? Like,
it was exactly. I would still be playing it to this day if they hadn't gotten rid of Joel and then, hadn't gotten rid of Ragnar and then hadn't gotten rid of. I think Joel is still there. The other moved Joel to other projects, and then the third guy left. Like, and then they, decided that South Africa was when all the story they were doing, and that's it. I mean, it's basically in maintenance mode now, right?
Yeah.
That's where my disappointment came in. Like, I wasn't even terribly upset when they went in and changed things to streamline, because it was just like, okay, well, as long as they continue the story and the puzzles and all of that jazz. And Justin and I played it together a lot. Like, we would sit and argue for hours over a puzzle. It was, and I really miss that, having like legitimate puzzles that take real brain work to solve, being in there. Like, you'd have to go do research in order to figure some of this stuff out, because it would be a subject that you're not familiar with. Or in the case, like, there was one puzzle where it was music related, so it took me, like, I was basically the one who figured it out rather than Justin, because I have a broader knowledge of, music theory.
Stuff.
Well, music theory specifically, it was easier for me to figure out what was going on with it. So, I mean, there was a lot of that, but yeah, I really miss that, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I do miss Secret World a lot. I even though the combat was janky as hell, it wasn't exactly what I expected or wanted on that front. But other than that, I was willing to deal with it because it wasn't abysmal to me. It just wasn't great. However, Secret World Legends, I was super disappointed in. I hated the rework of a lot of the weapon abilities, and so I just played on the shadow servers for a while.
I was much happier with the original combat weapon skill system, like, and it wasn't what a lot of people wanted, but it was exactly what I was expecting. And I mean, they could have cleaned up the actual physical function of it, but the rest of it was specifically what I was expecting and wanted.
The last news post on the Steam page for Secret World Legends was February 2022. The last news post on the Secret World Legends site proper was technically June 30th of last year for the 5th anniversary. So the 6th anniversary is a week away, apparently.
It did not launch on June 30th. I would remember that because that's my birthday.
Yeah, they're doing a 5th anniversary event at that time between June 24th and July 17th. So it wasn't. That was just when the news was posted.
I think it launched into July, if I remember correctly.
There's technically another news post after that July 2022 one in October 2022. That's to kickstart the Secret World tabletop game. So
yeah.
that one.
Yeah, they're not even doing posts for because for the longest time, even though it's been in maintenance mode for a while, they were doing posts for the holiday events, especially the Halloween one, right? Because that was a big one, and it was also, they were promoting what the community was doing, which kind of makes me think the community is probably pretty dead at this point too.
I mean, this is the community that was keeping it alive.
They were doing
events
a
of
lot
their
of
own
hard
and stuff.
work to keep it up. Well, that's what they would post, is they would be like, here's the raid or whatever, but then all these other events are things that the community created.
Yep. Tori the Chicken saying, my previous MMO I was excited for was Raider Z when PWE published it. Loved it at launch, played it for like a week, then dropped it. Yeah, so did PWE.
Ow.
I mean, they did. There's a project that's been years in the making and probably will continue to be years based on team size to redo that in a lot of ways. And they've made some nice progress with it. So if you liked it, go take a look at that. Some from chat. Tazib says, WoW Classic era, not TBC, and Wrath of the Lich King. I took some time off and I enjoyed it all the way through. Baron Vagabond saying Wrath of the Lich King. Takal saying A Realm Reborn for me, obviously. Ninja Panda saying SWTOR probably if I had to guess. So like I have like a bunch of them, right? Like I do have SWTOR. I took a little bit of time off for that, was super pumped, and had a group of friends that we just like rolled straight into the raids and stuff, as janky and buggy as they were. We didn't care. We freaking loved it. Secret World was one. Version 1 of Final Fantasy 14 up until I got beta access. Once I got beta access, I was like, what are you guys doing? Like, what are you doing here? This ain't gonna work. And guess what? It didn't. But A Realm Reborn, yeah. I mean, I was at Game Breaker at the time and just covered the shit out of it. Like, every beta, everything. A Realm Reborn, super pumped. How'd that work out for me? About the same that it worked out for you, too. I took days off. We put the computers in the dining room around the table so that we were all in the same room. Like, we had this whole thing going, and then we all got the login errors, right? The you can't get in, can't get in, can't get in, can't get in errors. So that didn't exactly pan out, but a few days later, it was okay.
Was this what I told you had to leave your wife to me in your will because she brought you like wine and shit?
Yeah.
To play the game with?
Yeah. Yeah. Like all of a sudden, it was just like, here you go. Like, thank you. Yeah. That was awesome. But the last one, like, I felt like a kid, right? Was probably Wrath of the Lich King. Like, I was so newer to MMOs that weren't Final Fantasy 11. Like, I had never done EverQuest 2, or World of Warcraft. I had tried once or twice, and I thought it was way too easy because I was a Final Fantasy 11 guy. And so when my brother and I got into World of Warcraft in late Burning Crusade, we had just gotten to the level cap, just started like raiding Kara and stuff like that, Karazhan, and Wrath of the Lich King was coming. So that was like a big deal for us, like personally. But as far as like my favorite, I can't wait, was probably A Realm Reborn. I don't have an MMO right now that I feel like that with. And like, don't get me wrong, I get excited about Final Fantasy 14 expansions, but there is no big thing going on anymore. It's just like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna play on launch day.
I have to keep myself in check with Ashes of Creation.
Really? That's never coming out. Do you honestly think that's coming out?
But I
see shit on his streams, Mike.
Yeah, but I see stuff that looks.
I'm kind of like the same way with Pantheon, promising. So I can't blame you.
Yeah,
I'm super excited for Pantheon, but I've got that tempered. I'll be 70 when this comes out.
Yeah, that's why I said I always have to check myself when it comes to the Ashes Creation stuff, because they'll like that Cyclops fight and stuff like that. Like that looks super freaking cool, and he was knocking down trees in the world and shit.
Oh,
like it looked awesome.
Tori says I'm so excited for EverQuest Next. So was I. I mean, we can't really count that in this category because that never really got close enough to really be anticipating. But Yeah, I bet that's a one that a lot of people are like, oh, sad face.
Do you feel like you started like getting a little about a lot of this stuff after Kickstarter happened? Because I feel like that's where I started feeling a little just like whatever. Shit's gonna launch when it launches.
Maybe. I kind of just like ignore Kickstarter. I am excited about Blue Protocol.
Originally, we were all excited about Kickstarter, right? Because we were supposed to be
Yeah.
getting these games from these, well-known developers and stuff like that. And like, I backed, what was it? Camelot Unchained.
Yeah. That was a fine investment, Q.
That totally worth the $25.
Totally worth. I am interested in Blue Protocol. I know that that's not one that you're interested in, Troy. But I am very, very interested in Blue Protocol.
I am, but Justin's already shitting all over that, going, they've killed it by not putting it out at the same time.
That was a weird decision, yeah. That was a weird decision. Biggest disappointment that did launch was WildStar, though. I'm the other way. I loved WildStar at launch. Loved it. That wasn't... I actually went out and did an event with Jeremy, the head of the studio at the time, and the rest of the team there at Carbine in California when I was with Gamebreaker, and got to meet them and interview them and play it, and then brought footage back, and we were able to put it on the site and everything. That was very cool. I was very, very interested in WildStar, and I loved WildStar. The unfortunate thing, hardcore. The unfortunate thing was I didn't mind like doing attunement grinds and stuff like that. I loved that from the World of Warcraft days, but I also realized that that's a very small audience of people that are okay with that, and I didn't have enough friends that wanted to do it. So it kind of was like, well, I got here, but now I don't have people to do this with. So let's head over and do the weekly bombs. What do you got, Troy?
Oh man, the bomb to old school chocolate rift. God, I miss you.
Chocolate rift. Go ahead, Q. Vanilla Wow Chocolate Rift.
I'm actually going to give a WTF bomb to Amazon Prime and their weird-ass marketing of Good Omens Season 2.
Yeah.
These people have been leaking, like, they've most of their promos have been leaks.
Yeah, leaking themselves. Yeah.
They've leaked themselves. And most of it was okay because it was just them either leaking something like an hour or a day before it was supposed to come out. But there is one thing that they actually leaked in like another promo. And eventually 2 days later pulled it down when somebody was like, oh shit, that's there. And now they've got like Neil Gaiman pissed at him and everything else.
I would be too. I would be too.
His response was, I'm fucking furious.
Yeah, totally makes sense. I'm going to give more bombs to Headbangers, despite Troy not caring about my Pigeon Battle Royale rhythm-based game. Not only do we have some more information on the site for you to check out if you're interested in it, but it's also coming out on Halloween. Like my favorite holiday, it's coming out on Halloween. So just bomb to Headbangers, the game. From viewers, I'm going to say that this first weekly bomb from YouTube, from the site, wherever, make sure you put yours in the comments below. Bomb for something good, bomb for something bad in the world of gaming or just life in general. This first one that I'm about to read has to be one of my favorite bombs in a long time. I love all of your weekly bombs. There needs to be more. Put them down there. But this is one of my favorites. Scabby Knees 99, about to based on me, and it's still one of my favorites. A-bomb to Mike, because there probably are people who care about how Troy's doing, talking about intros last week. I'm not one of them, but I'm sure they exist. Additionally, a second A-bomb to Mike for workplace harassment towards Troy through the weaponization of horrible puns. Also true last week. Yes. Finally, a bomb to Troy for carrying out his duties with absolute professionalism all this time, even under such abysmal working conditions.
Physically assaulted with puns last week.
One of my favorite bombs, Scabby Knees. Huge thumbs up. You made my day when I was reading through, building the show notes. I was like, hey, Bomb to Mike, what do I do now? And then when it's just like, hey, there are probably people that care about how Troy's doing. I'm not one of them, but I'm sure they exist.
Yeah. Somebody out there cares about me, damn it.
Go ahead, Q. Take the next one.
Metallica fan 1442. I have a feeling Cryptic Star Trek Online won't get canceled. Were you guys speculating that it would get canceled last time?
Well, I threw up a bunch of Embracer stuff and was like, what is the likelihood type deal? Yeah, we thought so too.
They literally just announced the Neo Constellation Class 3, USS Titan, and Picard Season 3 will be added to the game in bloody lockboxes. Yeah. And a new story, so they seem to be making money.
Yup. Go ahead, Q. Or, sorry, Troy.
KC4LZ. I don't know if that's supposed to spell something or not, but I don't know. Bethesda launched them went well. I've only started following their releases since Fallout 3 and Skyrim. If you are around on launch, you know the game's had issues. Some save-ruining, game-breaking issues.
Yeah, so it's funny. Like, I was like, oh, if that's all they've been around for, that's horrible. And then I was like, wait a minute. I've been around longer, and it's still horrible. Yeah, they don't launch well. They just don't. Terra Nova 667 says 2 bombs this week. First for FF16, loving the more mature feel, kind of Final Fantasy meets Game of Thrones. Second bomb is for the Mario RPG announcement, one of my all-time favorite SNES games, or SNES for our European viewers, and RPGs from the Squaresoft era. Yeah, I can't wait for that remake. I was like, the Nintendo Direct was pretty banging, but as far as multiplayer, not much there. Go ahead, Q.
Undead Rogue 99. A-Bomb. The just released first footage of One Piece live action Netflix adaptation. I mean, I did not expect anything good, and yet they still managed to disappoint. Now every One Piece fan on Twitter is posting this shit, and I have to be reminded each time that no one understands Zoro. That's an inside joke. Only a few cultured people will understand.
No one understands Zora. No one. Troy, finish it off.
Takao, A-Bomb to Final Fantasy 16. You were the chosen one. It was said that you would destroy the button mashers, not join them, bring balance to the RPG genre, not leave it in darkness.
Yeah, I got mixed feelings on a bunch of Final Fantasy 16. I'm sure we'll talk about them on next week's Relic Grind, though. Question of the week last week. It was a crazy week of gaming shows. What's the single title you are most pumped to play, whether it was multiplayer or not? Scabby Knees also chiming in, 99 also chiming in here saying, question of the week, I don't get excited lest I have my poor little heart be broken come release day.
I'm doing a show. Will you close that door?
But no, I won't close that door. She's going to punch you in the head, and you deserve it.
Jeez.
Heartbroken come release day. But I will say I am curious about how Clockwork Revolution will turn out. I agree. That one looks interesting, too. At least from the brief teaser trailer shown, it looks like it has the potential to be something special. But while In Exile have a decent track record when it comes to making games, this is a radically different style of game than what they've found success with so far. Totally agree with you there. Totally agree with you. Go ahead, Q.
Tozeb, Dragon's Dogma 2 by far. I love the first one, and the second one seems to be just more Dragon's Dogma, which is all I want.
You know, it's funny. A company says, hey, we made this game. People say we like it. They say, hey, we're going to make another one then. And they do that.
Just that.
Weird how that works. Go ahead, Troy.
Shrek says, question of the week, Starfield for one simple reason, modders.
Yeah.
The untapped potential 1,000 worlds has for modders has me excited for the game as the actual game. Maybe someone can port over all of Tamriel, including Daggerfall.
That would get you in there.
That sounds about right. You land on freaking Tamriel.
That would get you in there, Troy. Metallica fan 1442 says the game I'm most excited to play is easy. Warhammer Space Marine 2 and the return of Titus purging Xenos filth in the name of the Emperor of Mankind. I get it. This week's question of the week. what is your best MMORPG launch, expansion launch memory? How did you prep? What did you do? And how did it go? Did you end up happy or disappointed? Let us know in the comments below. Let's reminisce about some good gaming times. That's going to do it for the show today. We'll be back next week, Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Always doing it live, twitch.tv/MMOBomb. You're always welcome to join. Until then, Troy, where can everybody find you?
I'm on the socials at the Noob Fridge.
Cute.
On Twitter at Quitland, but you probably just want to avoid that at this point.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me right there at magicman1. But more importantly, follow at MMOBomb. You'll know every time we're doing a stream, a podcast, putting up giveaways, first look videos, or streaming with a team, giving stuff away like we did this week. Stay safe. We'll see you on the service.